With so many exotic hand cannons in Destiny 2, I thought it would be fun if we ranked all of them to see which one falls in the D category and which one falls in the S tier category. As someone who is a hand cannon enthusiast, I will be breaking down each exotic hand cannon and see how it performs in the Crucible. So if you're someone looking to see if your favorite exotic hand cannon is S tier or complete garbage, this video is for you. But with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Starting off our list, we have a weapon that not only got uglier and uglier after each ornament, but the recoil muzzle flash of this weapon is just as ugly. We have the exotic energy hand cannon, the Sunshot. Now, don't let the minor drawbacks deceive you. This hand cannon is deadly. With it being the only 150 RPM hand cannon, it sits at a TTK of 0.8. So this weapon has the lethality. But let's add in the fact that this weapon has built-in explosive rounds, which can cause additional flinch to your enemies, giving you the upper hand in a 1v1 duel. Let's not forget that it has the perk Sunblast, in which enemies killed with Sunshot explode with solar energy. Think of it as Firefly, but on steroids. So you might be thinking,
why the harsh words, Brave?
As much as I like this hand cannon, there are two major drawbacks. Number one is going to be the ridiculous muzzle flash. When firing this weapon at optimal speed, you could really lose track of your target. That's because of the obnoxious muzzle flash this weapon has. Now stack that on with the recoil that kicks harder than any other hand cannon. Both the muzzle flash and recoil can be a huge disadvantage when doing a 1v1 duel. But again, don't get me wrong, a good player can overcome these. Now, without the catalyst, the Sunshot would have been an easy trash tier. But since the catalyst gives this weapon a huge bump to range and stability, come on guys, God knows we need the stability with a muzzle flash and recoil like that. This weapon is easily ranked A tier, since this weapon has lethality to compete with other top tier hand cannons in the meta. Now, if Bungie was ever to fix the muzzle flash or recoil, or both, this weapon would automatically be S tier. But for today's video, it sits in the A tier category. Next on the list, we have a weapon that requires 2 breakdowns. Alright, hear me out. Our next weapon functions differently depending on your input device. That weapon is none other than the exotic kinetic hand cannon, the Last Word. The Last Word is a 225 RPM hand cannon with the exotic perk Fanfire, which reads, this weapon fires full auto and is more effective in hipfire. What really makes this weapon shine is that it comes with 2 grips, hipfire grip and textured grip, both of which assist while utilizing this weapon in the hipfire form. Now, back in the day, this used to be a monster on M&K, but in the most recent changes by Bungie, they dialed it back a lot, the amount of damage and range. Prior to the changes, you would deal 67 to the head aiming down sights, but after the changes, you were penalized aiming down sights, which now you only deal 52, thus making this weapon a hipfire only weapon. But to add to the changes, Bungie also reduced the stability on M&K and its overall effective range. With that being said, this weapon really suffers from ranged engagements, thus making it all the more reason to pair this alongside your favorite sniper. Now, when utilizing this weapon in PvP and on mouse and keyboard, it can really feel like you're firing a lot of ghost bullets, which can be extremely frustrating. But you don't get the same experience when utilizing a controller. One of the main reasons this weapon feels great on controller is because of the aim assist. A lot of players tend to forget that the aim assist on controller is much stronger than on M&K. So with the additional aim assist you get on controller, stacking that with bullet magnetism, this really makes this weapon feel like a top tier contender. Now, ranking this weapon based on input device only makes perfect sense. And for mouse and keyboard, this one easily fits in the D tier category, the trash can category, for one reason alone, ghost bullets. But for my controller players out there, rejoice. This weapon ranks all the way up in the A tier category with only one drawback, and that being range. If Bungie was ever to fix the range on this weapon, this would be an easy S tier and you'd never take it off. Next, we have a gun that I genuinely enjoy using, for 2 reasons though. The sound it makes and the way it looks. What else do you want? We have the exotic kinetic hand cannon, the Malfeasance. This hand cannon is a 180 RPM hand cannon with a TTK of 1 second flat. That's right, you heard that right, 1 second flat. In the lethality department, this weapon falls short, but it comes with the exotic perk Explosive Shadow. Shoot tainted slugs that burrow into the enemy. Stacking enough slugs causes them all to explode. Essentially, landing 5 shots on a target will cause all your shots to detonate and explode. If it wasn't for the exotic perk, this would rank even lower than the trash can category. But with the exotic perk, this can be extremely helpful when going up against supers. Comparing it to other hand cannons on the list, it does fall short in the range department. Sure, you can shoot a guardian from across the map and let explosive shadow do its job, but in a real game scenario, how often is this going to happen? Exactly. It does have better inner accuracy compared to other exotics on the list since it is a precision frame, but that gets completely overshadowed by the time to kill and the range. For today's video, this one sits there in the trash can category. And if I were to make any changes to this weapon, if I was to give it max range, it would easily be C tier. But today, it's trash can tier. Next on the list, we have a gun that brings a tear to my eye. We have the 140 RPM kinetic hand cannon, the Ace of Spades. This hand cannon comes with a lot of perks, but the exotic perk is Memento Mori. Reloading after a kill loads the magazine with a few extra damage bullets. It also grants an active radar when aiming down sights. It also comes with the perk Firefly, in which precision kills with this weapon increase reload speed and causes your target to explode, dealing damage to nearby enemies. As you can tell, Bungie didn't pull any punches. This hand cannon is pretty stacked. It can do it all. It's essentially the Giga Chad of all hand cannons. In game modes such as Trials and Competitive, you might catch yourself holding down lanes for longer periods of time. Well, the Ace of Spades not only provides you with the ability to have an active radar while aiming down sights, it also grants you bonus damage when the perk Memento Mori is active. This one was a pretty easy one to rank. I'm gonna have to put this hand cannon in the S tier category due to its lethality. When Memento Mori is active, it allows you to kill guardians with 1 critical shot and 2 body shots. But not only that, with majority of hand cannons seeing damage fall off at 26 to 30 meters, Memento Mori allows you to push the limits of that damage fall off, since this hand cannon is dealing more damage further away. I hope you're proud, Cade. Your hand cannon sits in the S tier. Our next gun on the list isn't only deadly, it's extremely annoying to go up against because the burn damage will keep you from regenerating your own health. We have the exotic kinetic hand cannon, the Thorn. This comes with the exotic perk Mark of the Devourer. Rounds pierce targets and deal damage over time. Kills with this weapon leave behind a remnant. With the Mark of the Devourer perk, every shot you land on an enemy will leave a lingering tick damage, and this damage can be stacked. But not only that, by causing lingering damage, you can delay your enemy's health regeneration. But what really makes this weapon deadly is the perk Soul Devourer, in which picking up a remnant left behind by a defeated enemy strengthens the Mark of the Devourer and refills your magazine. But how deadly is Soul Devourer? Well, when it's active, you can really punish players who are below 6 resilience. Since activating Soul Devourer, this will give you the ability to 2 critical shot your enemy if and only if they are under 6 resilience. Now, what are the drawbacks? This gun can't be all great. Well, it has poor range, and just like the Sunshot, it has an awkward recoil when firing the weapon. One of the only saving graces that this weapon has is, regardless of how far you are from an enemy, you are still dealing burn damage. So even if you experience damage fall off, you are still dealing burn damage, guys, which kind of makes up for the low range. If it wasn't for the burn damage and the ability to 2 critical shot your opponents, then this weapon would be an easy B tier. But with everything mentioned, it easily takes the S tier category for its lethality. The next weapon we have on the list is a snipe cannon. It's going through some changes, guys. It's not a hand cannon, it's not a sniper, it's a snipe cannon. We have everyone's favorite Grandmaster hand cannon, the Eriana's Vow. This is a 90 RPM hand cannon with a TTK of 0.67. It comes with the perk Death at First Glance, bonus damage when aiming down sights on the opening shot of an attack. This bonus is preserved if the shot deals precision damage or strikes an elemental shield. I'll break it down for you in simpler terms. When you ADS, you are granted bonus damage until you either miss a shot or land a body shot, and the perk stays active if you land critical shots. Unlike our other hand cannons, this hand cannon utilizes green ammo. What can I say about this hand cannon? It's fun to use, but is it meta? No. Can you make fun builds with it? Of course. Majority of the footage you see in the background is a combo of Eriana's Vow, a high impact hand cannon, and Lucky Pants. If you really want to get crazy out there, for my warlocks, if you utilize an empowering rift, by using the perk Death at First Glance, you can one-shot kill any guardian in PvP. If I had to rank this gun, it would easily be C tier. I think if this gun used kinetic ammunition rather than special, then it would be an easy B tier. You guys hear that? You hear that? Coming up on the list, we have the Hawkmoon, a gun with an exotic perk that can be heard anywhere throughout the map. This gun is a 140 RPM kinetic hand cannon with a TTK of 0.87 or instantaneously. This gun comes with the exotic perk Paracausal Shot. Final blows and precision hits with Hawkmoon grant stacks of paracausal charge, thus making the final round deal bonus damage based on the number of stacks. With Paracausal Shot, you can delete any guardian, even if they're coming at you with a super. They don't stand a chance. This is such an awesome perk, but if you're like me and you have the tendency to reload after every kill, then you might not be able to take full advantage of the perk. When it comes to modes like Trials and Competitive, where the stakes are much higher, you might be rolling the dice when it comes to engaging with a gun that has half a magazine. Still, if you're an above average player, then this might be something that doesn't phase you and you'll be able to take full advantage of this perk in any game mode. Now, when it comes to base stats, this is where Hawkmoon soars above all the competition. With stats that exceed in any category, and by having the ability to roll with random perks, this allows Guardians to chase after their ideal god roll. Even with the amazing stats, the random rolls, and a good exotic perk, the Hawkmoon still sits at A tier. I think that if exotics were ever to get mods, and you could slot a Icarus Grip mod on the Hawkmoon, this could easily jump up to S tier. The next gun on the list also has 2 rankings. That's right. Our next gun performs differently on mouse and keyboard than controller. We have the Crimson, which is a 3-round burst, 415 RPM kinetic hand cannon with a TTK of 0.87. This is a similar TTK to our 140 RPM. Now, this gun is very interesting. It brings a beloved gun from Destiny 1, the Red Death, and turns it into a hand cannon. Essentially, Bungie fused a gun people really loved and turned it into an archetype everyone loves. This hand cannon comes with the exotic perk Banned Weapon. This weapon fires a 3-round burst. It also comes with the perk Cruel Remedy. Kills with this weapon heal the wielder. Precision kills also refill the magazine. This perk is great for chaining together lots of kills since it heals the user after each kill. And if you land a precision shot as the final blow, it will then refill the magazine. Now, the Crimson falls in the same category as the last word. It performs differently on mouse and keyboard than it does on a controller. For mouse and keyboard, this weapon can feel a bit off. Since it does have a vertical recoil, landing follow-up shots can be difficult since it can obscure your vision after the initial burst. But this is where controller excels, since you do have aim assist with the controller. When you fire the Crimson, all you need to do is tug a little bit on your right thumbstick, and then aim assist will help you keep your burst on your target. Ultimately, trying to break this weapon down, it really doesn't fit when compared to other pulse rifles. It doesn't compare to the top tier pulse rifles since it does lack a lot of range. When you compare it to other hand cannons, it gets outshined in the peak firing and ease of use department. I would say that this weapon has an identity crisis. It wants to be a hand cannon, but it also wants to be a pulse rifle. For mouse and keyboard, the Crimson would have to be ranked in the D tier category, the trash can, since it's more of a chore to use this weapon and there are a lot better options out there. But for controller, this weapon falls in B tier. The only drawback to it is it being a burst weapon, and to achieve maximum damage, you need majority of your burst to land, which requires you to be exposed more often in gunfights. There are very few synergistic combo weapons in Destiny. We have guns like the Mida and Mida Mini combo. Our next gun on the list is going to be the Sturm, and it does have a synergistic combo gun, and that is going to be the Drang Sidearm. We will touch up on this combo much later, but as for the Sturm in a standalone weapon, the Sturm is a 120 RPM kinetic hand cannon. This hand cannon comes with the exotic perk Accomplice. Kills with this weapon fill the magazine of the equipped energy weapon from reserves. The second perk is kills with the Drang. Reload this weapon and overflow a bonus damage round into the magazine. When comparing it to other hand cannons, I would say this one is similar to the Hawkmoon. On paper, this hand cannon outshines all other 120 RPM hand cannons in the stat department, but there are a few drawbacks. If you really don't care for using the Drang, then essentially the Sturm is a 120 RPM hand cannon with great stats. But if you do pair it with the Drang, you can really see the full potential of this weapon. Even if you kill one person with the Drang, this allows Sturm to 2-shot kill your next target. But let's be serious here. Do I really see the Sturm and Drang combo in endgame competitive PvP? No. Who are we kidding? But as for the Sturm by itself, yeah, I can see this gun being used often and it's great to use. But don't expect much from the exotic perk. This one was pretty easy to rank. It's not the hottest thing in the game, and it's not the worst gun in the game. It's like warm water. You can drink it and you'll be fine with it. So this one will be slotted into our B tier category. Have you ever wanted to be a medic in Destiny? Well, our next hand cannon can make that become a reality. We have the Lumina, which is a kinetic 140 RPM hand cannon with the exotic perk Noble Rounds. Now the perk reads, kills with this weapon leave behind remnants. Absorbing a remnant converts your next hip-fired shot into an ally-seeking noble round and partially refills the magazine. It also has the perk Blessing of the Sky. Using a noble round on an ally heals them and grants you and them a weapon damage bonus for a short duration. Essentially, killing an enemy with this gun drops a remnant that you have to pick up. If you have a fully unlocked catalyst, then you'll be able to get 2 remnants rather than 1. Now, if you fire your gun in hip-fire form towards a teammate, the remnant will come out, healing your teammate and giving you both bonus damage. But it does come with a few drawbacks. For starters, let's talk about the base stats. This gun really suffers in the range department, thus making it feel like it has a lot of ghost bullets. And I'm not talking about the remnants floating around. But it also has an awkward weapon model, and the recoil, disgusting. Similar to the Sunshot, which makes this gun very difficult to use. And if you catch yourself in battle and you plan on hip firing, you better not have any remnants, because if you do, that's going to be the first thing you shoot off, potentially causing you to lose the gunfight. I'm gonna have to put this gun in the C tier. This gun takes mastery, and if you're someone willing to put in the time, you can easily master it and take this weapon to new heights. But for today's list, it's gonna be sitting in the C tier category. As you can tell, Bungie's done a great job at balancing their exotic hand cannons. Rather than having one gun that is dominant and every player's using it, there are a lot of great options. And yeah, there are a few outliers, and hopefully Bungie decides to buff some of these weapons later on in the future. But again, not every gun on this list can be S tier. Not every gun on the list can be A tier. But with that, that brings us to the end of the video. Let me know down below in the comment section if you agree with my list or disagree. Do you believe a weapon should be ranked higher or lower? Like always, if you guys enjoyed the video, do me a huge favor and hit that like button, because it lets me know to make more content like this. Also, if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button for more Destiny 2 videos, and don't forget to turn on all notifications. I really appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out. I hope you all have a good day, and I will see you in the next video.